The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Hi, welcome to the Ring and All of the Sports. My name is Leo Connors. I'm your host, along with my tag team partner, co-host Derek Dukes.
What's up?
And tonight we got a special guest, professional wrestler Sonny Goodspeed.
My man.
Former professional wrestler.
Former,
you, brother.
okay.
Nice to see you,
Well, you
Derek.
still
Nice
look
to
like
see
you
you.
could still work now.
Oh, yeah, well, I can still work, yes. I just don't want to.
Yeah,
it's
right.
it's a huge difference.
You know, definitely, it's been a long time, brother, you know.
Long time.
you
Yeah,
know. And
absolutely.
especially since you've been in the ring yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, how long has that been?
It's probably been, since I've been in the ring, probably 4 years. At least 4, maybe even 5.
Riding a bike, though. Riding a bike.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to know. My body tells me no.
Did you fall off that bike yet? Yeah, I know what
I
you're
crashed
saying.
that
I know
bike.
what you're
I
saying.
crashed that bike. Bent the front wheel the whole bit.
So I think what we should do to start this whole thing off is, since now we have a real professional in here,
Absolutely.
I think we should bring up some shoot work.
Sounds good.
Because enough's enough with what's going on in the WWE, man. Enough.
Well,
Really?
as most of you guys probably know by now, Dean Ambrose cashed in the Money in the Bank the same night he won it. After Seth Rollins defeated Roman Reigns.
Right.
So we were talking off here. Within a span of 4 minutes, all 3 members of the Shield had held the title. Guys, what do you think?
Well, I'm thinking personally that, which now that I know some backup plan of what happened with Roman for real,
Right?
that wasn't the script. I'd love to know what the real script was, but Dean wasn't supposed to touch that for quite some time.
Really? Even though he had said on air that he was going to cash it in immediately.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, think about it. You still have to work.
Oh, yeah, but I'm just wondering then, was he even going to win the match then? You
right.
know what I
See,
mean?
exactly. Were they going to put him over to that anyway?
Right.
But from what I'm really hearing is that Roman was pinched a week before this even
Oh, wow.
everything was going to happen. So
that
now
that would make sense as to why they
Correct.
went the way they went. Because why waste it? If they were gonna,
why do
if
it?
they weren't gonna make the title change, then they would have to do it on the Monday night or whatever.
Right.
Then you screw all those people that watched the pay-per-view or got the network for $9.99.
Wait a minute. The network is $9.99.
$9.99.
Yeah. That's right.
Triple H, you should pay us.
Right. And those 11 people watching at home, they probably got the pay-per-view.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
exactly.
It makes sense though that he probably got pinched before. He popped the test before.
Yes.
And then they had
Right.
to make a quick change and.
Well, I mean,
and
think about
wrote
this
it
for a
out.
second, bro. Think about this. You got your big dog, the guy you put all your hard-earned money into, the guy that you pulled up and you did this and did this for, who just totally blows it. Now, we all talked about this earlier too. What did he get pinched for? No one.
Right.
And I mean, no one's talking.
Right.
No one's peeping on what he got pinched for. But he got pinched a week before that, and they pretty much had to say, okay, this is what's going to happen.
Wow.
And that whole script was flipped.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
Right.
Everything was flipped on it. And I think that what happened is a great thing because, good for Dean,
Right.
Joe Moxley, whatever
Yeah,
the hell.
John Moxley.
John, see,
John, yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
But the whole thing is that good for him on that part of it. But also, as much as I don't like Seth,
Right.
good for
I
him
do.
for sticking to that script and letting that happen. Because I don't know about you, but and Sonny will back me up on this. Promoter, if someone walks up to you and says, "Oh, Sonny, so what's going to happen? You're going to win the title for about 47 seconds, and then Leo's going to come in and cash in and win it from you."
Right. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
See, exactly.
I'm gonna be honest with you. As long as you're paying me, I could give a crap less of what happens.
Right.
And that's
Yeah.
what Johnny C always says.
Yeah.
He doesn't.
Right.
John C always said, "Give me a shovel, go see that tide."
We talk about that
That's
a lot,
right.
how you do your job.
Yeah.
no
Do your
matter
job.
what
That's it.
No matter what you do for a living. Pro wrestling, custodian, working on cars.
Yep.
You do what you're told.
Do what it
man.
is.
Yeah. Now there was also talk too that the houses with Roman as champ were down, and
Yes,
they
I
were running the
believe that.
A&B shows.
Yep.
And the houses with Dean Ambrose headlining were doing
All
even
up.
better numbers.
All
Yeah.
up.
Right,
Yep.
Right.
So that might have had an effect in it
Yeah.
as well. Who knows? We'll never know.
No,
'Cause
you never
I'm
know
not
the
in
truth.
that office,
No,
but,
we're not out
yeah.
back. We're not listening to the old man talk to Triple H. We're not
Right,
listening
right.
to them talk to Stephanie or Shane. We have no idea what
Right.
they're speaking of out back. But the fact of the matter is, you said it best. When Roman is booked, people are like, oh, come on. This guy's just going to come out and say nothing, and which what always happens. I'm the guy. And listen, to be the man, you have to beat the man, brother.
Right.
We both, all three of us know where that came from.
Right.
And that's where that has stuck. But when a guy tries to flip the script, I'm not, he's this, really? Yeah. Could you tongue tie that any more than try to make something up for yourself?
He needed the Shield to stay together longer than the other two.
Amen.
There's no doubt.
Yes.
Like you just said how the houses with Dean on top
Oh my
were
God.
higher, right?
Yep.
But we talked about this like 6-7 weeks ago, that Dean's like is right here.
Yes.
You just give him those consecutive wins and
Yep.
push.
Yep.
He's as big as almost anybody.
Right.
You know, because
Yeah.
he's right there.
Yep.
And now, most likely, he's going to be there now, obviously. You know what I
Good.
mean? I think he earned it. I love reading these things on Facebook and stuff, that people saying, oh, he's boring. I don't know where they're getting at. He's boring. I mean, he's out there. He's wacky. I think it's a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, but I don't see boring.
Neither do I.
You see
But
boring
a lot
stuff?
of
Not at
people
all.
are saying it, and I think it's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
doesn't
yeah.
make sense.
I think that the whole he connects on a level with the audience versus
Yes.
where Roman
Right.
doesn't have that connection.
Right.
It's the whole thing with Roman's being forced on you versus the it just being organic with Dean.
Yes,
Right.
correct.
Where
Yes.
he wasn't being pushed as the top guy.
Nope.
But it just naturally grew,
Yeah.
much like the Daniel Bryan situation years ago. And,
Right.
Yes.
It's organic versus
Yep.
being, hey, this is our guy. This is who you're going to like.
This is what's going to happen.
And I think it's just, more organic. That Dean has a connection, Roman doesn't at this point.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think he's phenomenal. I thought the pay-per-view was phenomenal. I
Me
thought
too. I
Good
thought that
pay-per-view.
match
Yes.
was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good
I
pay-per-view
thought
this
that-
time.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought everything about it was really, really
Him
good.
and Seth have good chemistry in the ring. There's no
Amazing
doubt about
chemistry.
that.
Yeah,
You know,
amazing chemistry.
and I'll tell you the truth here. When they were together as the Shield, I was a huge Roman Reigns fan. Huge, I really was.
Yes.
You didn't do a lot of talking. You didn't see his weaknesses.
Well,
Right.
'cause
You
he was-
only saw
he was-
his strength.
He was the muscle
exactly.
of the group.
Right. So you didn't see any of that weakness.
Right.
You know. And then all of a sudden, when he went by himself,
Yep.
came out
Oh,
like that. It was
terrible.
horrible. And it
It
stinks
exposes
because
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
because I really liked him.
Yeah.
And now I'll be the first one to say I don't even enjoy watching him.
I know.
I really don't.
Mike's skills are horrible.
He needs to go away for a while.
I think he needs to be just left alone and let him be himself.
Yes,
'Cause,
right.
From what I
Okay.
understand, what I hear is that he's a much cooler guy than what he portrays on TV.
Right.
If they let him be him,
Right.
maybe that would connect as
hope
opposed
so,
to,
'cause, I mean-
hey, here's your script. These are your
Yeah,
key points.
this is what you're going to do, and that's it.
Just go out there and just do what you do.
Agreed.
And be who you are. And
Right, exactly. He's got the bloodline. He's definitely got the size, the look.
The
You know what I
bloodline.
mean? Oh,
my God, yeah.
unbelievable. You know, and he can wrestle.
yeah,
You know what
absolutely.
I mean?
Yeah.
He's just the charisma part. He's just lacking it.
In
you
mic
know?
skills.
And that's not something you can really teach.
Right.
No.
You really
No.
can't unless you go to acting classes.
Right.
Yeah, you could probably learn from it
You can
that way.
If you work at anything hard enough, you're going to get better at it.
Right.
I don't think that there's some people who have it naturally,
Right.
and then there's some that just they don't. Like,
Right.
Brock Lesnar doesn't got promos because he can't got promos.
Well,
Right,
because he
you
can't.
But that's
Right.
perfect, though.
So-
They gave him Paul.
But they
Right.
gave him
And-
the promo guy.
oh, yeah. Probably
and
the
there's
best in the
and,
business.
but if Roman practiced, and I'm sure he does,
right.
he's going to be a natural.
Yep.
Or he would be not a natural, obviously, but he would be okay at it. He would
Right.
get a lot better.
But I
at
think
it.
you're
So-
right, though. If they let him be himself more, you know,
Yeah.
and it's gone downhill a lot with the scripted promos. Guys that write TV shows now writing a promo for
Right.
you.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
Right.
back
Yep.
in the day, it would be bullet points.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like any
Yep.
promo, you'd have to. You're in, Tulsa, Oklahoma, on a
Yeah.
Saturday night
Yep.
on June 18th
Yeah.
at 7:00, taking on Sonny Goodspeed.
Yeah.
That's all you had to know, and then
Give
you
me
threw
2
in
minutes.
whatever you
Yep,
wanted.
Give me 2 minutes. Yeah,
two-
exactly. And that's
And you were over. And you
those
were over.
guys,
Yeah.
those guys, and you would do it for the same promo, or you would do 8 different towns,
Right.
in a
Right.
in a half an hour,
Yep.
and cut different promos, 8 different promos. Has
Whether
to
you're
do with that.
whether you're
Yeah.
a baby or you're a heel, like I told Leo, which you on my side about this, to make them hate you is the easiest thing in the world.
Yes.
Right.
Oh my God! Just go out there and make in front of their,
Yep.
their baseball team or their
Yeah.
football team or
GP.
Yeah,
GP.
yes.
Yeah.
But also, like Sonny said, always use the plug. You know what? The Boston, and you go, but
Right.
you use it to your advantage. But then there's your little. Oh, by the way, June 18th, when I see you at the Coliseum,
Right.
roll.
Yeah.
And as he said, there's your 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you had it
Right.
all 1, 2, 3.
Yep.
Roman
Exactly.
goes from here to here to here,
Yeah,
to
all
in Sonny's
around.
pocket.
Yeah.
You're like, where are you going? What are you doing? And then I'm the guy. Really?
Well, you said you weren't too keen on Seth's promos in the beginning.
Nope.
But you said it yourself last week that he's getting better.
Look
He's
what
definitely
happened.
getting better.
He disappears for a while to make himself better. To make himself better.
Right.
And he did a great job.
Yeah,
That promo
definitely
he
has.
cut when he came back, talking about, how he doesn't need the fan.
Oh,
that
my
was
God.
phenomenal.
Yeah. Wasn't that great?
That was a phenomenal
Didn't it look
promo.
like he was going to be going face right there
Yep.
at the beginning, and then all of a sudden, boom, he slapped like a slap in the face. I ain't going face.
And not many guys can do that.
Right,
Not
right.
many guys can do that. A lot of the guys, they would just say, well, he's going to come back as a babyface because the
Right.
people missed him.
Yep.
And whatever the case is. And he came back, and they gave him that babyface pop. And
Yep.
he just crapped all over their
And
house.
he did what he was supposed to.
Absolutely.
Better believe it.
He made the most of it. It was phenomenal. It was
He did a great
promo.
job in a
Yeah.
great promo, which I was. Did you see that promo?
Yeah, it was phenomenal.
Really? Where has this
I
guy
gotta tell you,
been?
I took a car ride a long time ago with Joey Eastman and Scott, Big Scott, and Shane Sharps and Dave. We went out to Chicago. We did a show in Chicago for AAW.
Okay.
And I remember seeing Seth there before he was Seth. I don't even know what he was wrestling.
Tyler Black.
Yes,
Tyler
and he
Black.
wrestled that Silas Young guy.
Oh, yeah, Silas.
My
is
God.
good,
right.
Too, man.
And
I like
I
Silas.
think this is before he. This is obviously before he was signed. I don't know if he was an ROH
Right.
then or not. I was blown away at how athletic,
Yes.
how just that kid was phenomenal.
Yep.
Like he was destined to be a star.
Mm-hmm.
Not from years and years ago, from when he started.
Right. When I first saw him in Ring of Honor, you could tell he really did have the athletic ability of him was just off the charts.
And that's one thing about him. He is the. You can see, yeah, man. There you go.
Exactly.
Need
No,
I say
but
more?
it's true.
Take it from Roman Steele that he's gone for
Yeah.
30 days. But I'm telling you, from there to Ring of Honor, you saw his work. You saw his work
Right.
ethic. You saw what a talent he was. Then you give him a microphone, you're like, oh, what are you doing? You need to give him a mouthpiece so he can just go in the ring and do what he does. But you were right, though, because over in Ring of Honor and when he was in the regular indies, like, wow, look at this kid
Yeah,
work.
he was
There
incredible.
was no mic
Yeah.
skills, but he could work. He could fly.
I sat there and I watched a lot of the pre-show with him, and just talking to him, and then like I literally had no idea because I don't pay attention to that kind of stuff.
Right.
But Joey, so he's like, oh, that kid's phenomenal, and I watched the match, and obviously it takes two to tango, so him and Silas put on.
Yep.
I don't even. It must have been a 15, 20-minute match. I was blown away at how
Right.
awesome
Silas
it was.
very underrated.
Amazing.
I think.
Amazing.
I mean, really.
Like I'm sitting there, and a Journey song comes on. I don't even know what song it was, but it was the "Don't Stop Believing."
Okay.
And they played like the whole intro to the thing, and I'm like, the hell, who comes out to freaking Journey,
Yeah, yeah.
Don't Stop Believing. And when he made his way through the entrance, at the end of the first, like, couple of lines of the song, the song had been playing like 2.5 minutes at this point, 3 minutes. The place erupted. I was like, holy Christ.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So they were waiting for him.
Oh my God, yeah, they knew who he was, and I think that maybe had to do the whole atmosphere, but it was just phenomenal. It was amazing to watch, and those are the kind of guys you can pick out and say those guys are going to be stars.
Yep, definitely.
Right.
So
Definitely.
I just want to say I called it years
Oh,
ago.
There you go.
You
All
heard
right.
it. He
Yeah.
called it.
All right. Well, I think we should dive in a little bit about Sonny's career and all that.
Why?
Get some funny stories.
Why?
And
Yeah.
I think, because I'm interested.
Oh, all right. I'm
That's
sorry.
why.
I was doing the swerve way,
Now, Sonny, you were trained with 97. Did you start? Was it 90?
I started in 92.
92.
I met Jeff Costa at a WWF show at the Boston Garden. He was passing out flyers, looking for guys to join this new group. He was starting in. We're like, we thought it was some guy who wanted to be a toucher or something.
Right. Yeah.
And we look at the address and we notice that it's this is me and my best friend Dave are at the Garden, and we notice that the address is West Hollow Street in Nashua.
Right.
And I'm like, this
Wait a
is
minute.
right up the street from
Yeah.
where we live. I'm
Right.
like, how is this possible? So we found the kid who was passing out the flyers. We said, hey, is this guy here? He said, yeah, he's right over there. So he brought us over, introduced us to Jeff. We had no idea who Jeff was.
Right.
Jeff told us, I trained with Walter Kowalski. I went out to Vancouver. I made a career for myself. Came back. Now I want to start something new. I said, perfect. This is what we want to do. Now, at the time, I grew up in the Tree Streets here in Nashua.
Yep.
And I came from nothing. So when you call the Hart brothers and, you want to join their school, they say, yeah, it's only going to be $3,000. You had to get yourself here. You had to put yourself up.
Right.
I'm like, $3,000? You might as well ask me for a unicorn.
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't know what the hell $3,000 looks like.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So this guy said, yeah, just come over to the house. We'll talk. And we went over to the house. We talked. And really, what he wanted to start was a half work, half shoot.
Okay.
Yeah, and so we had a couple of guys that showed up, and I remember we went out in his backyard, and they were like, all right, let's pair up and start off as a shoot and see who can take anybody down. And I never wrestled or anything like that, amateur wrestling a little bit,
Right.
but I wasn't able to. Nobody could take me down.
Right.
So I was schooling everybody, and I think it was just from being a young dumb kid,
Right.
a big kid. And I was just strong as an ox.
Well, just to say,
Right,
you are
right.
a small guy,
Yeah,
so I mean,
and I was injury free at that point, so like my shoulders weren't blown out, and
Yep.
my knee wasn't blown out, my neck and back were okay. So I was pulling these guys down and doing whatever I wanted with them. So at the end of like a half an hour, 45 minutes, Jeff goes, I don't know if this is gonna work. He goes, he goes, by show of hands, he goes, who'd rather learn how to work, and who'd rather learn how to shoot? And everybody goes, I want to work. You know, and I was like, I'll do whatever. I don't
Right,
care. You know what I
right.
mean?
You just
'Cause,
wanted
again,
to be in the business.
Yeah, I'm 21 years old. I'm like, I'll take an ass kicking.
Yep,
Whatever.
of course.
Yeah.
At that time, I'm indestructible. You could have shot me with a gun. I would get up the next day and
Right.
be back at it.
Right.
So that's where we started, in his backyard on West Hollow Street. I remember taking our first bumps on literally frozen ground that was just thawing out, and Jeff found a pad from lawn furniture,
Right.
still frozen in the backyard, and he kicked it up a little bit, ruffled it up. He goes, just throw yourself back. That's how you bump. So that's what we did. We were bumping
Wow.
in his frozen backyard. That spring came, he had Home Depot deliver a bunch of wood. We built a ring in his backyard.
I remember when he had the ring in the backyard.
The posts originally were 4x4 wooden posts.
Oh, boy.
I remember we got it all together. Man, I was so pumped. I'm like, I just want to be in a ring. I just want to be in a ring. Jeff got in. He's like, shoot me in. So I shot him in, or somebody shot him in. He hit the ropes, and the 4x4 post snapped.
Oh.
like they were toothpicks. And I'm like, well, that's not going to work. So him and I took a ride down to Gate City Fence right on Pine Street, and we said we need fence post, and but they're cheap. So the guy was like, well, we just took these out of somebody's demolition. He said, you can have these. One of them was filled with concrete. The thing must have weighed 200 pounds, just like Sonny. You got that one. I'm like, I'm lugging this thing over my shoulder.
I can see him telling you that too.
This 6 or 8 foot post half filled with concrete, and then we just realigned and put the post back together, and that's where we started. And had our first show in January of '94 in Richard's Catering in Hudson, New Hampshire. But for 2 years, essentially, I would sit at Jeff's house every day watching wrestling, and he would tell me. So I got the psychology part of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Before I ever took a bump, before I was ever in the ring, I got the reason behind you do this. Do this instead of this for these reasons. I got all of that before I even stepped in a ring. It was so I like to say that I had a better education in the wrestling business than a lot of guys had.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine.
Right.
Because, it wasn't some guy just going, there's the ring, give me your $3,000.
Right.
Pair up with Timmy.
Yep.
Timmy, show him whatever. And then just, guys chopping the shit heck out of
That's all right. That's all right. We don't worry.
That's all
We
right.
drop it on. We usually put it on late at night.
This one will be on late at night now.
Yeah. So, I didn't have to go through the chop shop, all that crap.
Right.
And I learned how to work. And it was amazing. When we first started the show too, Jeff put me under a mask. I was Captain USA, And he's like, well, what you do is, he was a genius. He's a genius. He goes, you let everybody know that, obviously, you're Captain USA, wink, wink. He goes, but don't tell anybody, tell them not to tell anybody. And he goes, people will come to see you, and they'll think that they're the only ones that know that Sonny Goodspeed's under the mask,
Right.
So literally, everybody I ever talked to, I'm like, I'm hanging up posters, hey, you want to come see me wrestle? They're like, oh, you're not on the poster. I'm like, shh, I'm Captain USA.
Right.
Yep.
So everybody knew, but everybody thought they were the only ones that knew.
That's right.
Right.
Jeff was a genius. So the first year of my career, I only wrestled Jeff, and I thought I was being punished, And I'm like, because I'm watching my best friend Dave wrestle literally everybody else. He wrestled a tag match with Bill Wilcox, who at the time was
Flying Billy.
who was the guy in New England wrestling.
Blast from the past.
Yeah,
He was
and,
awesome.
He's wrestling a young Steve Bradley.
Right.
And, and Brutal Bob Evans and all these guys, and I'm wrestling Jeff Costa, and I'm like,
You learned so much.
I didn't know it though at the time.
right,
I was a young kid, and I wanted to I'm like, yeah, but I can do a drop kick off the top.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, but why do you want to?
Right,
You know?
right, yeah.
I'm like,
you want
'cause
to kill yourself.
Yeah,
'Cause
because
I
I
can.
can. Yeah.
Right.
But I didn't know that I was getting a lesson of a lifetime, and I'm forever thankful for it.
Of course.
And it was amazing.
A lot of people don't realize, they see Lobster Man, and they don't realize the work Jeff had done, like you said, in Vancouver. I've gone on YouTube, and I've watched so much of his stuff. One of my favorite things is he does his promo with Santa Claus.
Yes, amazing.
And comes out, and he gets Eric Froelich big clown shoes.
Yes.
And this guy, it was just amazing. It was so good. They broke to a commercial, came back, and he's
still
doing
doing
it.
it. Yeah.
And I
He's
mean,
just
you're
amazing.
laughing.
Yeah.
And then you watch his matches, and I mean, he was phenomenal, dude.
Yeah.
The tag team he had.
Him and Terry Adonis.
Yeah.
One of the funniest things I ever saw, we were watching tapes from Vancouver. It was him and Kevin Butcher Hughes, who was Walter Kowalski's first student.
Right.
We're watching this tag match.
Crazy
and
Kevin.
Kevin, literally crazy. First time I ever met Kevin, I think it's Thanksgiving. We're at Jeff's house for Thanksgiving, and we said, well, we got to go pick up some soda. So we walked to the local Texaco. And Kevin pulls a box cutter out of his pocket. You know, a box cutter, right? You slide-
yeah. I have
And he
one
goes,
at work.
I got a box cutter just in case. And then he puts it back in his
case
pocket.
what?
That was my point. I'm like, did anybody else hear that? I'm like, in my head, I'm like, in case of what? And then he just puts it back in his pocket and he walks ahead. And I'm like, I have no idea what the hell that just means. Nothing. But so we're watching this match, and Kevin has his ear taped with white wrist tape, just the top half of his ear. So we're watching. I'm looking at it. I go, Kevin, why do you have your ear taped? That's not me. I go, Kevin, that's you on TV. We're watching you. You have your ear taped. Nah, somebody must have ribbed me on that. That wasn't me. I didn't do that. I'm like, Kevin, that's you, and that's white tape on your ear. Couldn't admit it. Nah, it wasn't me. He has no idea why it happened, why it was there. No idea. But it was just amazing. I had literally the best run and my best time probably in my wrestling career with those guys, and I just didn't know it at the time. I was young and naive and stupid, and probably just a little pig-headed, and
Of course.
said some things I shouldn't have said, whatever. But just amazing guys though, and just I was so blessed to be brought up with those guys. It was so much fun.
Now, who else was, like, when you started training, who else was there with you training?
So it was me.
Yeah.
Loverboy Dave Barron, who went on to become Slammy the Clown, or as we called him, Slummy the Clown. Because according to Jeff, every wrestling show has to have a clown,
Yeah.
a Pollock,
A cowboy.
yeah, and an Indian.
He told me that before, too.
Yeah.
You have to have a cowboy and all that. Yeah.
And we're like, all right. So, so those are the first couple of guys. My buddy Dave Hogue, who wanted to wrestle. He took one bump. And he's like, no, I'll referee. He's like, I'm good. The only referee in history on a show had a comb in his back pocket. His back. Yeah.
Oh,
just
no.
in case he would go in there between matches, because he had his long mullet rocking,
Right.
and he couldn't screw that up. So,
Right.
Oh, that's funny.
yeah. Who else came through then? When we first started the show, we just got a bunch of guys out of the Fall River, New Bedford area.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So it was Bob Evans, it was Nick Steele, it was Rob Veth, British Bull, the Boston Bulldog.
Yep.
Rip Morrison,
Yep.
Mike Valancourt. All those guys on the show. We.
So Johnny Royal?
Yeah, Johnny Royal. Yeah, I'm sorry, I said Rob
that's
Veth.
all right.
Yeah, Johnny Royal. Steve Bradley. Steve Bradley, we found actually he was doing a show at the Hudson Lions Hall at 16 years old or something like that. Booked out the Lions Hall in this makeshift ring that he put together, but he was running it. You would have sworn it was Vince McMahon running it.
No kidding.
You could hear him yelling at the guys, so he was blowing spots and everything else. And he drew, I don't even know what he drew. It must have been 75 or 100 people there.
Right.
At 16 years old,
That's
to
pretty-
run. Now, he grew up in Raymond, New Hampshire. He's
Yep.
running
Right.
the Hudson. That's a 45-minute, 50-minute
Yep.
ride. I don't know how the hell he drew that many people. And it was all his teenage friends and all his kids' brothers and everything
Yep.
else. And he drew, I'm going to say 100 people there.
Wow.
And he organized a show from A to Z, and thinking that, like, literally, this is like he was Vince McMahon. Like
Right,
it was
right.
the WWE. It was amazing to see. So we got him to come along. So, Steve and Bob, and like I said, Billy Wilcox was on the show. Tony Roy, another
Yep.
local
Oh,
wrestler
yeah.
guy.
Yep.
Now, he came to the show. Nobody really had any idea who Jeff Costa was, or
Right.
Bruiser Costa, or Butcher Hughes was.
Right around here.
Yeah,
Unfortunately,
yeah.
they didn't know.
They just didn't know the history.
Right.
So I remember Kevin always kept a gun in his bag.
Oh, I believe it.
Because, it was a completely different territory.
Yes.
And Tony came in thinking, I'm going to work these 2 marks for more money.
Right.
Or to get on the show, I need X amount of dollars. And he started, spouting off about how much he's done, and Walter's guy, and I need this much money. And Kevin, in the meantime, is reaching in his bag for the gun. He's like, I'm going to get rid of this effing guy. Like,
Right.
I don't know who the hell this guy is. He didn't train with Walter, but Walter would never do this. And because Walter, like I said, Kevin was Walter's first student.
Right.
And Tony and Jeff goes, yeah, I'll book you. He goes, but you're ugly as sin. You got to put a mask on. He wouldn't book Tony because he said Tony was ugly, so he had to wear a mask. And Tony's like, well, I grew up here. Everybody knows who I am. Nah, you're ugly, kid. He wouldn't book him. He wouldn't book him. And I thought Tony was amazing. Tony graduated a couple years more earlier than I did, so we were in high school together. And I remember working out with him a couple times at the Y. And the kid was a freak show. He was enormous.
Great shape. In high school.
In high school, you're walking around, this is he looks like a grown man. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like I'm a pimply-faced, pot-bellied kid, and I'm looking at this guy who's got shoulders for days and, and a wingspan of a lat. And I'm like, we're working out at the Y together, and he's doing dumbbell curls, and I'm barely picking up one. And it was amazing. So I was getting to talk to him.
He's still jacked.
Still jacked, yeah. I see him every now and again, usually in line for hairband shows, like, when Poison comes around. Or those kind of shows, we'll see him. I'll see him there. But, so there was all those kind of guys on these shows, and we just ran and ran. Eventually, I went to a show where I saw Maverick Wild.
Yep.
It was in Haverhill, I think, for Lou Bordeaux. And I remember watching this guy. I'm like, man, this kid's in shape, energetic, he's charismatic. But
giant clown shoes, though. Remember his shoes?
Yes, that's what I said.
I was like, what?
I said, he's wearing somebody else's shoes. There's no way. He's got a size 15 boot on. There's no way that this kid who's, 5'10", has that size foot. And I remember going back and telling Jeff, there's this kid, Maverick Wild. I was like, you got to book him? I was like, but he's got to get new boots.
I see that.
But that was his foot. He's got a size like 13 or 14 foot or something like that. It just looked so abnormal, though. Like, he literally looked like he was wearing clown shoes.
Yeah,
but
really
he was
did.
Phenomenal.
He was awesome.
Yeah, so good. I had a ton of great matches with him. And
did you ever get a chance to mainstream at all?
Here's the thing. So I went down to a couple WWE shows when they were in town, and but I always said, like, and I don't know where I got this from. I didn't want to be the guy on TV who got beat up on Saturday afternoon. Yep. And then Saturday night, I'm at the Hudson Lions Hall and I'm the champ.
Right.
And I was like, I don't want to be that guy. So I never took the opportunity to go down and do TV for them.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I went down to all the shows and, I'd be in the back or whatever, but I just never did that. Now I look back at it, I'm like, man,
the hell am I thinking?
what a dumbass.
Yep.
I should have taken those paydays and eat the catering.
Better believe it.
Right, yeah.
And I just never did it. I did some TV in Memphis because at the time I worked for a car company that would send us to Nashville, Tennessee.
Right.
I would change my flight, go in a day early, take a bus from Nashville to Memphis, and I showed up on outside the TV studio, Channel 5.
Yep.
And I remember being in a tag match, me and I think it was Derek King. Right?
Oh, yeah, Derek King. Yeah.
I think it was me and
Did he have
Derek
his
King.
blonde hair at the time?
No.
Okay.
No, this is before he changed that. And we wrestled Jamie Dundee and the other cat there.
Wow.
Wolfie D.
Wolfie
Yeah.
D.
PG-13.
No kidding.
I like those guys. They're
Now,
good tag
Wolfie
team.
D was phenomenal to me. Just treated me great. Jamie, not so much.
Right.
Jamie's a little guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
With
he's
a
like, hey.
huge attitude.
Yes. He's like, hey, big brother, every time we get in the ring, bro, I'm just going to smile you, blah, blah, blah. And that's how he talks. And I'm like, all right, man, if that's what you want. I'm like, I don't care. I'm in Memphis for a day.
Yep.
I'm like, whatever. So Bill Dundee comes around. He's like, kid, what do you got going on? I go, I don't know. Your son told me every time we get in the ring, just essentially he was going to shit kick me. And he goes, no, you're too big for that. He goes, you're too big for that. He goes, let Derek take the beating. He goes, you come in for the hot tag. Blah, blah. And I said, perfect. So I remember just Jamie, I think then he got pissed at me because we changed it around.
Right.
So he just kept shit talking. And I'm like, whatever. So in the match, they're double teaming. Finally, I come running in. And I hit Jamie over the back with a forearm that I swear I cracked ribs. I hit him so freaking hard. And I don't think he was very happy with me. So we do this big schmoz, whatever. They end up getting thrown. I end up getting thrown out of the ring. At the time, they were paired up with like Tracy Smothers and the Spellbind.
Oh, my God. No kidding, huh?
Tracy hit me with a chair shot.
Oh.
And I ended up getting carried to the back by Brian Christopher and all
Was
these guys.
that when they were doing the Nation?
Possibly.
they were part of the nation. Because remember, Tracy, some others had a name, Muhammad something.
No, he was
back
still
then.
Tracy then.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so like I'm getting carried to the back by all these baby faces, and I get to the back, and Tracy comes over to me. He goes, "Kid, I hit you pretty hard there. You all right?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, it was fine. It's fine. It was no problem. I've been hit harder."
Right.
In the meantime, my insides are bleeding.
Right,
I've never been hit so hard in my freaking life, but I didn't want to put it over.
Yep,
You know what I
of
mean?
course.
So I no-sold it. I'm like, holy Christ! Like I thought whatever was in the back of me hit the front and came back and bounced like this.
Right.
You know, I
Yeah.
was hit so hard, but it was a phenomenal time, and
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was.
I still
it was a
watch
good time.
Memphis TV.
I love it.
To this
It was
day.
so
on
amazing.
YouTube.
I love it.
I'm always
Good
watching
stuff,
it.
man.
Always.
I was just got my ass kicked on TV. Bill Dundee, he goes, "Hey, listen," he goes, "you're gonna get out of here unless you come to the other town." And I had to go to school for the car dealership. So he gave me my pay, and I walked outside, and right across the street was a bus stop. As I walked outside, there's kids all over asking for autographs. And I'm like, I was on TV for 3 minutes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm
Better
like-
believe it.
And they're like, "How can I have your autograph?"
Yep.
Whatever. And I think they called me like Sonny York or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, I had long hair,
Right.
bright white boots, and colorful blue gear.
Yep.
Whatever. But so I did that, and then at the time too I got in at the wrong time. I had my goal when I started wrestling. I said I want to wrestle at the Sportatorium. That was my goal.
Texas.
I was like, man, that would be amazing.
Who doesn't,
So
brother? Yeah.
Right.
I had an opportunity to wrestle Tony Atlas up at Salisbury Beach,
Nice.
and he loved me. So he go to the back, and he's like, "Kid, you need to go. You need to get out of here." So he gave me a bunch of information, like a bunch of phone numbers, Puerto Rico, Germany, everywhere. So literally, I don't even know how expensive my phone bill was. My wife takes care of that, but
Right.
I must have rang up a phone bill. Calling Germany?
Yo, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
That's not cheap.
Yo, yeah.
You know, I just know I had to dial 37 numbers to get there.
Right.
I'm like, I don't care how much this costs. Beep, bop, bop, beep, bop, bop. Right? So I'm on the phone with Grizzly Smith.
Whoa.
I have no idea who Grizzly Smith is at the time.
Right,
Like,
right.
and
Of course.
Then I do a little research. I'm like, Christ, that's
Oops.
Grizzly Smith.
Yep.
So I'm all set to go to Fort Worth. Call me in 2 weeks. We're going to get you down here. In the meantime, Grizzly falls ill. Johnny Mantel takes over the book.
Yep.
Everything changes.
Yep.
The business closes.
Yep.
Otto Vaughn's, I'm on the phone
Yep,
with him.
yep.
He's like, "Kid, I'd love to bring you over." He goes, "If Tony says you're good, you're good." Unfortunately, I'm not doing the fair shows anymore. We're all done. You know, so I got out of then. And then Bill Eadie, I met Bill Eadie.
Yeah.
He
Yep.
loved me. He wanted to bring me in, but his thing closed down. I literally was in just too late for
Yep.
everything.
Yeah.
Right.
And at the time, ECW was on the rise.
Yep.
And I remember Jeff telling me one time that, we got a call. They wanted you to come in for a tryout. I didn't think it was right for you, so I said no. And I remember being bullshit. I remember being completely ripshit. But at the time, now I think about it, I'm like, well, they probably just wanted me to come in and job to New Jack or something.
Right. Yeah.
And, you know, and I'm
Wouldn't
like,
have been fun.
yeah, because I just, at the time, I was dumb enough I would have fought back.
Right.
You know,
Right,
I would
right.
have gotten into a fist fight
Right.
with this guy, and it would have been entertaining for about 35 seconds, you know? But that's it.
Well, see,
So,
they did that to me with Big Sal.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah, see?
Yeah, I'm 5'5", which
yeah.
no, really, I am. And Sal is 7'3" or 7'4".
He's a giant.
Yeah.
6.
He's and 600 pounds.
625, 600, somewhere in there.
Is he really that tall? 7 feet tall?
Yeah.
Big Sal. Wow.
Yeah, and they said he
Wow.
was.
I
over,
mean, I know how big
he was over
though.
600 at the
Wow.
time, and they're like, "Okay, that's your guy."
Yeah.
Oh, I was
How
like,
was the
all I can
splash?
see is Rick Fuller. That's all I could feel was Rick Fuller at the time, and the splash was. I was like, "Is it Tuesday?"
Yeah.
No, it's Friday night.
Splashed you into Tuesday.
It's Tuesday, right? No, it's Friday night. Are you all right? No.
I got a good Rick Fuller story.
Ooh, please.
So I got
yeah.
I got
Yes.
booked for at the time I really just wanted to break out and wrestle everywhere I could.
Better believe
Right.
it.
I talked to Joe Eugenio and Dave Souza, Savannah Souza.
Yep.
And they're like, can't book you, you're Costa's boy. You know, nobody will book you because you're Costa's boy.
Yep.
I finally, I don't know how I did it, talking to the power company. Remember the two guest up?
Yeah,
before?
yeah. The Power
Yeah,
Twins,
him
the
and
Power
then
Company, yeah.
talking to them and Kevin Landry
Yep.
liked me, Kevin Kelly. So I got booked down there, and they had me wrestle Rick Fuller.
Ooh.
At the time, Rick was using the power bomb as a finish.
Oh.
Was
And
he
it-
lumberjack then?
Yeah,
too?
he was lumberjack.
lumberjack,
He
yeah.
goes,
Yeah.
he goes, all right, Sonny. He goes, I'm going to give you the power bomb for the finish. I go, yeah? He goes, yeah. He goes, I said, I don't know if you can get me up. He goes, I can get you up. I go, let's run through it.
Right.
So he puts his, he ducks me down.
yeah.
He puts his arms around me. I dead weighted him like a big bag of shit, and I wouldn't let him pick me up. I was like, there's no way I'm getting fucking power bombed. So he goes, all right, fine, we'll just do the big boot. I go, perfect. Perfect. I was like, I am not getting power bombed. You know, for $40 or whatever.
Especially by him.
Yeah.
Oh. Though I ended up taking a power bomb from John Cronus. You know, the Eliminators up at Salisbury.
My favorite tag team of all time with the Eliminators.
They were amazing to work with. Perry and I had a really good chemistry. Jeff and I were wrestling as the Suicide Blondes, and and we both had bleach blonde hair.
Yep.
This is a good part of this too, right? I'm like, do we just go to CVS and buy, dye for our hair? He goes, nah. He goes, you got to actually bleach it. You got to find a hair salon that'll do it. Saturday morning, we're calling 47 hair salons. Nobody bleaches their hair anymore.
Right.
We found one place right here in Nashville that does it. So we went down there. We sat there for 4 hours getting our hair
stripped,
literally stripped
Yes.
and bleached.
Yeah.
Bleached.
Wow.
My hair was so brittle and like I could crumble it like this. But anyway, so we had bleach blonde hair. So the Suicide Blondes wrestling the Eliminators. I remember.
Oh my God.
I don't know, bumping Perry and then throwing him in a rear chin lock.
Was that at the Lions Hall?
No, this is this is in Salisbury.
Okay.
Yeah. Throw him in a rear chin lock, and I'm holding him there. And he starts to work up, and I'm like, no, stay down. He's like, no, we got to get up. I'm like, no, stay down. I'm like, relax. He goes, shakes his head like this. He goes, brother, you'd be perfect in Memphis. I go, yeah. Because he wants to go. And I'm like, I've worked with Jeff and Kevin all this. I'm like, no, slow down. Let's build some heat. And he just wants to bump and go. And
Yes.
I'm like the complete opposite. So he's sitting there, and I'm trying to just keep him down, Luckily, I was weighed more than him, so I was able to just hold him down.
Right.
But that's the match. Jeff took whatever their deal is. I don't know what's it called.
Total elimination.
Yeah, Jeff's
I love that
toe
move.
got caught in the canvas, taking the bump,
Oh.
and snapped his ankle. So
Wow.
he was out for a little while. So then I continued on with just different partners working for him. And Perry came over to me John came over to me one time, both of them, and then they said, Sonny, we greatly appreciate it if for the finish tonight we can give you, do a double power bomb you and your partner. And I was like, yeah, that's no problem.
Right.
I was like, whatever. At that time, I was like, a little more experience.
Right.
I know how to take it. I remember being there for John, though. Like, I took some bump, and he's going to do that back handspring.
Yep.
No.
I'm like this.
No.
Holy shit, that looks awesome. Oh, my God, he's going to land on me. Like, that quick. I was like, wow, look how athletic. Oh, my God, he's going to hit me.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and he landed on me, though. But, my God, was he unbelievably light.
Yeah.
For a big
Yeah, for a big guy.
For a big guy. And Perry was... Both of them were just amazing to me. Just amazing for me. I loved them both.
That's such a good story for me to hear, because that's like my favorite tag team.
They were
my
just
favorite team of
so
all
amazing.
time.
I watched Perry
I miss John.
beat the shit out of this guy Dave the intern or something like that. Really? I guess the story goes that David worked the show with him one time, and Perry was supposed to do some spot, and Dave cried sick. I can't do it, brother. My back, my sciatica, my neck, blah blah blah. I can't do it, brother. Can't do it. Well, then Perry goes, all right, sorry, man. I hope you get better. Later on in that show, Dave's out there doing whatever the hell he wants. Perry's like, F that guy. So now he sees him 8 months later at this show. Perry's off with him. Perry ties up with him, literally pushes him to the corner, just starts beating the shit out of him.
He's a tough guy, too.
Oh, yeah, Perry's a legit ass.
Yes, he is.
Just starts pummeling the shit out of him and going, how you feeling now? How you feeling now? And we're all watching like this from the locker room, like through the curtain. Dave comes running back. Like literally running like a schoolyard boy getting his ass whooped, comes running back, goes to the curtain and collapses on the ground. And Perry comes running back in with his mohawk, straightens it out, and he stands over him and he just cuts a
promo on him.
Like, and we're all just sitting on the bench and watching like this. I'm like this. Oh gosh! I'm like, this is awesome. And Dave, I don't even think he changed. I think he just grabbed his bag
and bounced.
Split.
Yep.
And split. So,
that's amazing.
Yeah, it was awesome.
I want to backtrack for a quick second when you said you were in Memphis. Another one of my favorite wrestlers, very underrated, is Bill Superstar Dundee. I mean, I love watching him wrestle, and the guy's still wrestling here and there.
Yeah.
My God, the guy's 115 years old. He's still bumping.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, he really was he was just as big as Lawler down there. He really was.
Huge. Because of his size, he couldn't really get over anywhere else.
Exactly.
He came up to Atlanta, and they saddled him with that.
Mm-hmm.
The manager.
Yeah.
Sir William.
Exactly. But yeah, he was awesome. I just remember how thick he was.
Yeah.
And how short he was.
Oh my God, he built
When I
like
met him
a
there.
brick.
Yeah.
Yes.
He looked like
He
a fire
could work,
hydrant.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, he could work. Yeah.
Great
crazy.
worker, great guy.
Yeah.
Yes. Good people.
So so then that was that. So then so all right. So Jeff and I split off because, as things do, like with women or just
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
like you grow apart.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take most of the blame because I was a young punk kid, So I went off, started doing my own thing, and I ended up booking for Sheldon Goldberg for a little while for NECW.
I remember
And then
that.
Steve got fired from Steve Bradley got fired from WWF. and
Yep.
Right.
Came home, he started up his own thing, so I went on to help him. I left Sheldon, pretty much high and dry,
Right.
but it was.
That's the
Were
wrestling
you
days.
booking when he made his debut there with us under the Santa Claus?
Oh yeah, that was
I
me.
was at that show selling.
were?
I was
Oh,
selling
at
my
Everett?
merchandise
Yeah.
at that show.
That was in Everett,
Yeah,
right?
no, that was at the racetrack.
Yeah, right.
Because
yeah.
I remember he came over to the table, right, and I had a Missy Hyatt book, and he goes,
Yeah.
in Missy Hyatt's book, and he goes, ho, 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 what a ho. And he goes, last time I saw her was at that, somebody had passed away, maybe it was Brian Hildenberg or something, at the memorial show. So now I'm like, what is that? You know what I mean? Because I didn't know. So when it was going on, he comes out. I remember I was with this kid, RJ Goodwin.
Yeah.
You know RJ?
I think I do know
Yeah.
him, yeah.
So RJ said, stay at the table. I'll be right back. And all of a sudden, he rips off
The beard and the
beard.
coat.
And I was like,
He starts stabbing Alex with a fork after he handcuffed him. It was amazing. Steve was
That
such
was
a trooper.
awesome.
He came up with that, and he's like, Sammy, I think we could do it this way. He sat in that Santa costume for hours
Yeah.
until the main event. Out there, nobody had a clue. Cause
Right.
this
I
was
had
his
no
first,
idea.
This was his first show back that
Right.
he'd done since he came back from Puerto Rico and Memphis and
Yep.
stuff. So he's out there, and he's ho-ho-hoing, and he's amazing. Just
Yeah.
a super professional. And then finally, when it's time for that, he handcuffs Alex, and he just rips off the hood, and he's wearing the Santa pants with suspenders and a
Yep.
white T-shirt, and he's got. I think he might even still had the beard on, but just no hat or something. And he's just stabbing Alex, and Alex bleeding a gusher, and it was just amazing. With this fork, is just the visual on it was just.
I'll never forget it. I was
Oh,
like pumped.
it
It was so awesome.
It was one of those moments too. I sat there and I'm like, oh my god, I'm part of this. This
Yeah.
is so awesome. And Alex at the time was probably the top babyface
Yep.
in New England, without a
Yeah,
doubt.
yep, definitely.
Alex Arion. He was.
You know who made their
amazing.
debut on that show, her professional wrestling debut on that same show? Wasn't Beth Phoenix?
She
I
she
think,
was.
if I'm not mistaken,
no
I
kidding.
read
Yeah.
that was the very first show she ever did.
with the All-Nighters. Yeah.
Yep. Well, yeah,
The
Joey
All-Nighters.
Knight and,
Yeah, Joey Knight
and Robin Nightwing.
Yeah.
See,
I don't
love
know.
wrestling,
I know
man.
Beth ended up marrying one of those cats.
Yes, Joey
And-
Knight.
Yeah,
Joey.
and they ended up moving to Memphis or Louisville together.
Okay.
When Beth got signed, I don't know if Joey ended up doing anything, whatever.
Not
but those
much.
two were like they were tall, small guys from
Yeah.
Canada.
They could work.
But man, they could work,
Yeah.
and their charisma was amazing.
Oh, incredible.
And I felt bad for them every time because Sheldon gave me the payroll, and these guys were driving themselves in from Canada.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I can't pay these guys more than I'm paying Alex and Mav
Yep.
and Bob and
Yep.
and I'm like, I felt bad, but all I could pay them was I could pay them. But they're like, no, son, you just keep
It is
using
what
us
it
and
is.
Right.
We'll keep coming out. We just want exposure.
Yeah,
It
they
was-
were good workers.
I want
It
to
was awesome.
I want to hit Sonny with the
Yeah,
usual
go ahead,
question.
please.
And this is the
Anyway, this is nice. I like this.
this is the question I love to ask of workers. And I think I already know because I know where you're from and you
Yeah.
and I know each other. I think you know where
I
this
think
is
so,
going to go with you. Professional wrestler or sports entertainer?
All right. Here's my feel on it. I started as a professional wrestler.
Correct.
And I turned into a sports entertainer for sure.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely. But I definitely started as a professional wrestler.
We all
'cause-
start as professional wrestlers
Yeah.
because that's what our profession is. We're learning to do our trade.
Yep.
But of course, as soon as the cameras turn on,
Yeah.
you're an entertainer. You're entertaining them.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think that when I heard it, it might have been Sweet Scott Ashworth that told me, he goes, hey, bumps? He goes, I consider any time, he goes, I make a noise in that, he goes, I'm in that ring and I make a noise, that's a bump.
That's correct.
And then he goes, whether I take a knee, and I go, that's genius.
Right,
I
yep.
go, I'm stealing that.
That's
so
right.
If somebody's getting the heat on me and, I'm just registering, I'm not bumping and selling, and I just take a knee, if I take a good knee and that ring makes a noise,
Right.
I count that as a bump.
That's it.
I go, that's perfect
He's
for
smart.
me. It's genius, right?
Yeah.
It's correct.
Seeing you brought up Sweet Scott, I'd like to talk a little about
Chunky
Chunky
but funky?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my
Because
God.
you had two inclinations of that, right?
There
You
was
and
actually-
Dave also.
There was more, yeah.
Was
So
it really?
It started.
Nice.
It was a 4th of July show that Bob did down his area down there somewhere, Swampscott or something.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yep.
And he goes, hey, I'm going to pair up you and Ash. And I go, perfect. 2 guys that do nothing
Yep.
and love it, right? I'm like, that's going to be great. So I don't even know who we went out there and worked with. But, man, we had
You had a blast.
chemistry.
Yes.
And had a blast right off the start. And I was like, man, this could be something. Bob saw it, Scott saw it, everybody saw it. So Scott goes, I'm going to start putting you guys together.
Yep.
So I go, all right, let's get some gear. Then he started putting us in 6-mans. So I brought Dave in.
Right.
And I go, Dave, you got to dye your hair, though. So Dave had a mullet. He dyed it blonde. And we all got pink and black gear.
Yeah, I remember. That was awesome. Awesome.
And we rocked the Chunky But Funky. Well, then what happened, though, is it started like, you ever see the movie Multiplicity with Michael Keaton?
Yes.
Where he needs to spread himself thin, right?
Yeah.
So, all right, Ash can't make this show, so we're going to bring we're going to throw, remember Eggy?
Yeah.
Jeff Michaud,
Yeah.
I think his name is,
Yeah,
right?
Jeff Michaud.
Yeah,
From
so-
around I asked you if you knew him one time, and you don't remember.
No.
But
He wrestled with Jeff as Egghead. So we're going to throw him
From
in
Nashua.
we're going to throw him in some gear. He's going to be the third member tonight, And I'm like, ugh.
Right.
It just every time if somebody couldn't make it, we'd throw somebody else in it.
Right.
And it just I thought it watered it down.
Yep.
And took away from what it was. I mean, even to a point with Dave, because Dave, God, I love him. He's literally been my best friend for 36 years. But he just wasn't up to where Scott and I were.
Yeah,
Like,
yep.
But he was completely. I would have had him over Eggy because he was there from the start. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yep.
Right.
So Dave and I, here's a good one. So we were booked for this show in Fairhaven, Massachusetts, right down the street from Scott's house, right? So it was me and Dave wrestling. I don't even know who it was, Matt Stryker or something like that. From those guys down there. The booker tells us, "Hey, Sonny, you guys are going over." I go, "Perfect." So the kids come to us, and he'd apparently been around. Michael Stryker, maybe whatever. He'd been around a little while, or whatever. And I didn't really know who he was, and so I said, "Hey, you want to talk over it?" He's like, "No, we'll just call it out there, brother." I go, "Perfect." He goes, "We'll hit you with the finish." I go, "No, we're going over." I go, "The booker told us we're going over, And he goes, I go, if you think you can beat me, I said, go ahead. I said, go ahead. If you think you can beat me, I said, I'll go ahead and beat me out there. I said, otherwise, we're going over.
Right.
So we go out there not talking about a whole lot. And now, I was a little,
Are you out there calling spots?
Not even much, just working a little bit.
Yeah.
Right? So Dave gets in there, and they start taking the heat on Dave because I always made the hot tag, right? So because I was the bigger guy and I didn't want to do anything, I'd let Dave. Dave was smaller. I go, you go out there, take the heat, and he knew it. So they're getting the heat on Dave, but they're shit kicking him.
Yep.
Like they're doing this thing where they snap marry him and they give him that boot to the back.
Yep.
There's a way you can do that and protect somebody, and
Right.
there's a way you do
They
it, and
wanna
you're just
protect 'em.
careless.
And to be
They wanna
stiff,
be
right?
protected.
Wow.
Dave takes that kick in the front, comes up with a bloody lip. I just get hot. I go, fucking tag me.
Tag me in.
So he crawls over, in the most awkward spot ever. But he just crawls over and tags me, and I come in, and I swear to God, I've been in less violent street fights.
Wow.
I murdered these two.
Yep.
I forearmed the one kid in the side of the head, spun him around like a loop, and he took a bump. The other kid, that was the kid on the apron. So I bop him. He's on the apron now. Can't figure out, where he is. I shit kicked the other kid off the rope. I hit him with a back elbow in the side of the head so hard I thought I broke his neck and blew out my shoulder at the same time. I see the kid still laying there, so I run over, and apparently I think I'm Rey Mysterio. I do one of those jumping in the air, like knees tucked in, and then do the drop kick where I hit him. I kicked him in the face and spun him off the apron. He landed on the ground.
Wow.
In the meantime, Vinny, Marcelia, Vinny, Ryan Drew, Teddy Goods are all in the crowd, and they're popping and loving it. I grabbed the other kid that just took the elbow, who hasn't even gotten up yet off the mat. He's like this. I just pick him up, and I think I body slam him or something. I don't even know what I did, and I just laid on top of him, and I look at the ref. I go, fucking count. I'm shaking. I'm so angry. It lasted about literally 45 seconds, but it was 45 seconds of fury. I was just so fed up from the disrespect from the kids, getting heated that we were going to go over, and I just beat the bag out of these two kids, and I came downstairs because after I talked a little bit, I was going to apologize, after I calmed down a little bit. The one kid that I kicked off the apron wasn't even there. I think he grabbed his bag, grabbed his wife and kids, and left.
Yep.
The other kid's like, to tell you, he He goes, I don't know what we did. I go, you don't know what you did. I'm like,
Right.
you freaking disrespected me. And Scott is there, and he goes like this. He goes, well, hey, you asked for it. You asked for it. He goes, that's how you get treated, you know? And everybody was just like, knew I was in the right.
Yeah.
And I murdered these two. And I felt guilty about it. But then I thought about it again. I'm like,
It is what it is.
it is what it is. Like, you know, like, I didn't say I'm going over. You know, I would have gladly done the job. They said you're going over. And I'm like, whatever. Like, because, again, I don't care. If I get paid the same to win and lose, I don't care. Like, it just, whatever. It is what it is. And I don't keep a track record.
Right.
You know, like, there's
Right.
no winner's share of the purse.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
25 is 25.
$25 is $25.
Yeah.
That's right.
You brought up a couple of local guys. I'd like to talk to you about a few. You know, a little name game. You know,
There you go.
Slick Wagner Brown.
Okay, here's my deal with Slick Wagner Brown. I started the book for Sheldon. My first night in, I give him the pay. He looks at me, smiles, he goes, hey, this must be somebody else's, man. He goes, I get paid more than this. I said, now you don't. I go, this is what you get paid. I said, if you have an issue with that, I said, you can go work somewhere else.
Right.
At the time, I really didn't think, I thought Wagner was,
Yeah.
I thought people were blowing smoke up his ass. I didn't think he was as good as he
Right.
as he thought he was. I thought he was very passable, very, very good talent.
Yep.
Just, I didn't think he was as good as he thought he was.
Gotcha.
I didn't think at the time he could cut promos. Now, obviously, we butted heads there a long time, and I really didn't even want to use them. So what I did is I booked Justin. Remember Justin Shape or Justin
Yeah,
McIsaac?
I like
booked
that. He
him
was
in a
funny.
program with Wagner, who I knew Wagner wasn't going to. Wagner wanted to work athletic matches like
Right.
Alex
Right.
and Bob Evans
Yeah.
and those guys. I said, no, work with this kid. I started out with Justin being a stalker for April Hunter, you know, but reverse. Like, he would sit in the crowd holding signs saying, April, stop calling me, you know? That kind of stuff. So we worked it in reverse. And Justin worked phenomenal matches with him, and they were really good matches. Wagner hated it. Though.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't know.
Right.
You can't be on top all the time. There's
Yeah.
this
You gotta
business
cycle
is
it through.
cyclical.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
So, yeah, but now we're good. We're good. I love Wagner.
Yeah,
That's
good
cool.
kid.
That's a great
Yeah.
story.
Good
I like
kid.
that. But Teddy Goods.
Teddy Goods was another guy I didn't like at first.
Yeah.
I really thought he was just. I didn't think that whole New Bedford crew.
Yeah.
Guys that didn't work out and weren't tanned all the time and weren't all
Yep.
messed up or whatever, they didn't like. So I was like, well, fuck you. I've been doing this longer than
Yeah,
you.
yeah, exactly.
You know,
Right,
I'm
right.
like,
Yep.
you
The
know,
hell with you, bro.
Yeah. Now, though, I love Teddy.
Yep.
Teddy's phenomenal. He's a fantastic worker, and he's come around to the point where he knows that going out there and having fun
Yep.
Right.
is worth more
Amen.
than going out there and doing 8 million things.
Gotta believe it.
You know,
Nice.
so sometimes it just takes a little coming
Gotta believe
around.
it.
But I love Teddy. I love
Teddy's
Teddy.
former partner there, now in the WWE NXT, Chris Gerard, Biff Busick.
Love Biff. When I started seeing those promos for Chaotic, the manliest man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I swear I knew that kid was gold. I didn't know, like, because you can't see from the videos how big he is or anything
Right,
like that.
right.
And when I met him, I started watching him do his stuff and how, excuse me, how much of a nice kid he was.
Yeah.
Phenomenal kid. Like, just
He is wicked
super,
nice.
super
Right.
respectful and everything. And every time I see him, he gives me a nice
Great
handshake
worker.
and a hug and a phenomenal.
Great
that kid's
worker,
gonna
yep.
be that kid's money.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
That kid's money.
Were you at the NXT show in Lowell?
I didn't go.
I'll tell you, man, that match with him and Ciampa was incredible.
Great
Yeah.
match.
You know, and match of the night, honestly.
Absolutely.
In-ring work was better than Joe and Balor, and that's not
Yep.
knock on
Yep.
those two.
No, I believe
that
it.
was unbelievable. And the pop Ciampa got when he came out, I thought the roof was going to go off.
Yeah,
the
that
building,
kid
man.
is
It
that
was
he's a star.
unbelievable.
That kid's a star. I worked him one time
Unbelievable.
when he was Tommy Penmanship.
Yeah, that's my first time I saw him
Yeah.
with his little feather
He goes,
pen.
what do you want to do out there, Sonny? I go, well, I'm going over. I said, why don't you just beat the shit out of me the whole match? He goes,
Right.
what? I go, yeah. I don't
He was
care.
respectful,
Right, what do
too,
you
right?
care?
Yeah,
What do you
very.
care?
Respectful.
Right.
So he just schmoused me the whole match,
Yep.
and then
Right.
I spun around and got a schoolboy on him or something. I'm like,
That's
what
it.
do I care?
Wow.
But super, super respectful. Another kid who's
There you go.
phenomenal.
Ryan Drew.
Love Ryan Drew. I think he's batshit crazy.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
yeah.
I don't really know Ryan Drew. I've seen him at work a few
Yeah.
times, but I've heard he's a little bad shit.
Super, super underestimated. Undervalued, I think.
Yep.
Right.
As a trainer, that kid has put out some freaking stars. That kid is got a mind for the business, can train,
Nice.
and he can work. That kid can
Right.
work, and I love Ryan Drew. He's just batshit crazy.
All right, I got a name that I have to kiss, and this guy used to drive me nuts. The skunk. Oh, come on,
God.
you have
Skunk?
to have a skunk story.
I hate the skunk.
I know, that's
literally-
why I brought him
Yeah.
up.
I hate one of those words not allowed in my house.
Right.
Right.
You know what, though?
I
Him.
hate
Yeah.
One match, I'm working Gary the Torch Gadalis, and I don't even know where we're at, Laconia or something. And Jeff's like, just whatever, do whatever, and make sure you hit the finish. Oh, it's important you hit the finish. Chris Skunk is our referee. And I go, Chris, I don't care what you do the whole match. Just don't F up the finish. Just don't screw up the finish. He's like, what's the finish? And I told him.
Yeah.
Checked with them. I literally, if I didn't check with them 100 times, I didn't check with them once. I was like, I don't care if you do anything else on the match, just don't screw up the finish.
Right.
Literally sit in the corner for the whole match until the finish. I don't care.
Yep.
So here comes bing, bing, bing. We do the finish. I'm laying on top of Gary. 1, 2, his shoulders up. And I literally just stood up and I bitch slapped him. Right to the ground.
Yeah.
I open hand slapped him and he fell to the
there.
ground. And he rolled out of the ring. I think the match ended in a DQ or something. And Dan Patiglio, Captain USA, the second one, had to literally stop me from killing him in the locker room. I grabbed
I heard you screaming at him.
Yeah, I grabbed a hammer, and I was going to bury the claw hammer in the back of his skull.
Oh, my God.
I can't stand this guy. I literally,
He rubbed everybody.
Yeah,
the
I
wrong
wouldn't
way.
piss on him if he was on fire.
Yep.
I literally, there's not a lot of people that I dislike that much. I just don't like him. He's not a good person. I wouldn't care if he it was on fire. I'd watch him.
Now,
marshmallows.
two guys, I think they both had the same last name, but they weren't related in like as brothers or anything in the wrestling business. If I'm not mistaken, Big Daddy Walker,
Yeah.
right? And Iron Man Tim Walker.
Tim Walker. Yeah, Big Daddy
Those
Walker.
guys, I enjoyed watching those guys.
Big Daddy Walker and Tarzan started training with us the
Yes.
first time. And I did a little tag team with him. We were the new Freebirds for no other reason except Jeff just goes, you guys are the new Freebirds. All right. We didn't have matching gear. We tried to get matching gear as close as we could. And Tim Walker, just a phenomenal guy, just an amazing guy. I never actually got a chance to wrestle him all that much because I was already on the outs when he started coming in. But I think we might have tangled once or twice, but love him too.
Wow.
Just two phenomenal people. Yeah.
You know, this hour went way too fast.
Well, that's what I mean.
I got to say this right here. You have an open invitation. You let me know whenever you're free.
I'm
I'm
right up the
serious.
road.
I
Yeah.
know. That's what I'm saying. Just hit me up in the morning, whatever, even that day, a week before, whatever. Open invitation.
Definitely.
Man, 'cause we
Yeah,
haven't
we'll do
even
this again.
touched. We haven't
No.
even really gone anywhere.
No,
We
18 years I did it.
I
Exactly.
know, brother. Long time.
Exactly.
It's a long time.
Long
Those are
time,
a couple
bro.
Stories.
You know, I had asked Jeff. He was the first guy I thought of when I went
Yeah.
and he turned me down. And
He
I
said
was,
no?
Yeah, and I was like,
Yeah.
Jeff, please. And he's like, nah, Leo. And then he said he might be starting up. And I'm like, dude, if you're ever starting up and you're putting out DVDs, let me commentate. Let me get involved.
Yeah, do
let
something,
me put
yeah.
flyers out, anything. I
Right,
just
right.
want to help you.
Right.
Yeah, that'd be
You
fun
know?
to start it again. Yeah.
But guys, that's
You know what,
it,
brother?
man.
Thank you so much for coming in, brother.
thanks
Really
for having me,
appreciate it.
Leo.
Good to see you.
Anytime.
Thank you very much.
Good to see
Bring
you.
in all other sports. Keep your eye out.
Guys, that's it. Peace.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.